Hello and welcome to Playmobox. In this presentation we are going to talk about common problems with web development, what exactly Playmobox is and how it is solving those problems. Let's start with the first problem, the initial setup of a web application. So what does an IT department or a web developer usually need for building and running web applications? Of course, hardware, which is constantly accessible. This hardware could be located in-house or rented at web hosting services. Else we need software, like an operating system, virtualization software and of course server software. Else we need web technologies, like frameworks, common tools and libraries. Step 4. Individual configuration, like for example the environment of your app, the database, as well as the domain or hostname. Something else? Oh, that's all. Now you can start with the actual task. By the way, from the view of a manager, you still didn't work today because you were not able to show him some buttons on which he could click on. In the end of the day, you have the feeling that everyone else could do this job faster than you. The second problem is about insufficient solutions and examples for questions related to web technologies. Let's start with a typical scenario of a coding process. So what a web developer is doing if he first has a question, second needs some help, or third just wants to learn how to use something. In order to search for an answer or ask a question, he could use platforms like Stack Overflow or GitHub. For the case that he needs some help in real time, he could use chat rooms like Slack or GitHub. If he just wants to understand how to use a tool or a library, he could take benefits from tutorials on video platforms like YouTube. Let's take a look at some examples. The first screenshot shows a question and its answer on the platform Stack Overflow. The answer consists of two solutions including links to an external source. In this case, the external source is a code editor demonstrating one of the solutions. The second screenshot shows an established chat room called Slack. There everyone is helping each other by providing solutions and sharing links. The third screenshot shows a video tutorial about a specific tool published on YouTube. All of previously mentioned platforms have in common that they take advantage of code editors for demonstrating solutions. So, let's take a closer look at those code editors. This screenshot shows a code editor called JSFiddle. JSFiddle consists of 3 code input areas and 1 output for the preview. The code input areas are separated into HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Unlike JSFiddle, Code Sandbox consists of 1 code input area and 1 output for the preview. Therefore, it provides a virtual file tree for arbitrary file types like for example HTML or CSS. Every of previously mentioned code editor is easy to use and a good choice for fastly creating and testing small code snippets. But unfortunately, such code editors come along with downsides too. For example, it is not possible to connect to a backend of such a code editor in order to run a module bundler like Webpack or just set up an additional server for your API calls. As previously mentioned, those code editors are meant to be used to create and test small snippets. Reason for this is either the absence of the possibility to create a project structure or the limitation on it. Another downside is that the snippets are isolated from each other, means that you cannot easily combine them with other snippets or reuse them in other projects. If you anyway want to reuse a snippet, you have to cut it line by line by your hand. These problems are preventing web developers from being more efficient and having a less hard life. But wait, there is a solution for these problems. It's called Playmobox. Playmobox is the next generation code editor. It's already online and ready to build applications of any size. It brings together following tools: a file tree, a code input area, a terminal, a preview, and last but not least a dynamic toolbox, surrounded by a fully accessible operating system, a web server and everything else which is necessary to run a web application. So, following problems will be solved by using Playmobox instead of any of currently established online code editor. First, the backend is now reachable through a web terminal. For example, it is possible to configure and run Webpack, start an additional server for your API calls, or just use the command line interface like you used to. Second, projects of any size are possible to build, because the file tree is fully accessible without any limitations. And third, snippets are reusable because of a dynamic and adjustable toolbox. For example, add a snippet to a toolbox and take benefit from reusing it in other apps or by sharing it with others. But how does Playmobox solve the problem with the initial setup? Simply by providing everything a typical web application nowadays requires. A high-performance server of your choice, an already installed operating system, virtualization and server software of your choice, and already installed frameworks, tools and libraries of your choice. You just have to choose a combination of some web technologies, and Playmobox is doing the rest. Within few seconds a workstation will be online and ready to get configured according to your needs, like in step 4 of the first problem. That's all, you are immediately able to code. A quick recap. We talked about established platforms for asking questions and getting answers on a wide range of topics in computer programming. We looked at currently established online code editors and talked about their problems. Also, we learned about Playmobox as an alternative to currently established code editors and how it is solving their problems. If you have any questions, please don't be shy to ask. We are always happy to help. Thank you for listening.